VC! Hello everyone, I'm back for another video, and if you can, of course, as you can see by the title, this video is on albums released in the year of 1980. I've got a few albums from 1980, but I thought I would choose 10 albums from the great year. Yeah, 40 years ago that was. Wow, I can't believe that. 40 years ago, wow. I've kept it to 10 because maybe, hopefully, next year, if I'm still here on YouTube, I'd like to do a follow-up, do an 81 and a 91. So in those years as well, in the future. I've got a lot of albums from 1981. Actually, I really have, so that'll be great to do next year. But anyway, let's focus on this video, and yeah, let's crack on with it. This was inspired from last year when Vinyl Collector James did his 1979 video, and some great selection. I wanted to do that, but I didn't have a lot of albums from '79, and there are a few I really wanted to include that I didn't have. So the same here I'm kind of doing is that, you know, I've got more than 10 albums from it. I've got a few more, but I thought these are the ones I thought, I'll include these. And I wanted to do a bit of diversity, of course, you know, with diverse genres, because there's a lot of synth stuff that came out. Some of that's in there, don't worry. So let's crack on, shall we? At number 10, I'm going to show Talking Heads, Remain in Light, absolutely classic album, released on the 8th of the 10th, 1980. Fantastic album. Yeah, produced by Brian Eno and features the huge hit Once in a Lifetime. But yeah, just an absolute classic album. To achieve the cover, bass player Tina Weymouth was going to taking MIT classes, and with guidance from another bloke, name I forgot at the moment, to help make this album cover. The process apparently was torturous, and because computer power was limited in the early 80s apparently, so and took up like several rooms, but eventually they finally got this classic and iconic album cover. So yeah, but yeah, some great stuff on here. Adrian Belew plays on here as an additional musician, I believe, which is quite cool. And yeah, the Talking Heads remain in light. Number 9, I have the classic Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Now this is one of my favourite Sabbath albums. I love this album. You've got it's the first album with Ronnie James Dio, his replacement, of course, for Ozzy Osbourne, and yeah, you got some brilliant songs here. All the tracks here are fantastic, but standouts would be Neon Night, Children of the Sea, Heaven and Hell, Die Young. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, that's a great back cover as well. Awesome. Interesting fact about this album, Dio was recommended as a replacement for Ozzy Osbourne by Sharon Arden, and she was the daughter of Sabbath's manager Don Arden. Of course, later Sharon Arden would meet Ozzy Osbourne, but it was around a little while later she met Ozzy, or maybe it was around the same time, and yeah, she would later become Sharon Osbourne, as we all know. So yeah, really interesting. Classic album. Okay, at number 8 I have the classic double album by The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, The River. I got this for about, I think I bought it at a charity shop a few years ago. Brilliant purchase. Yeah, brilliant songs on here, fantastic tracks. You got you know, Ties That Bind, Two Hearts, Independence Day, Hungry Heart, which is a very special song, one of my special songs. That means has a place in me. The River, beautiful song, which I believe is about. It's written down here. It's Bruce Springsteen confirmed in his autobiography, which was released about 4 years ago, that the song was about a tribute to his sister and his brother-in-law. So yeah, and then you've got Point Blank, Cadillac Wrench, you know, brilliant stuff. The Price You Pay, Drive All Night, Wreck the Highways. The album is a classic double album. And of course it's produced by Springsteen along with John Van Landau and guitarist Steve Van Zandt. And this album was it was Springsteen's first to go to #1 on the Billboard 200 and spent 4 weeks at the top of the chart. Fair play to him. Classic album. Okay, at number 7 we have the classic Prince album Dirty Mind, released on the 8th of the 10th 1980. Brilliant, really good album. Yeah, great stuff on here. It's very much, this was Prince, of course, kind of hearing what was going on at the time, because the first 2 albums were mainly disco inspired and soul inspired, that late 70s sound, and this is like 1980, especially very 1980 pop songs on here. Dirty Mind's a great song. Uptown, I love the opening synth riff on Do It All Night there. I love that bit. Of course this album was produced, arranged and recorded by the master himself. You know, he does everything of course in his studio in Minneapolis. So yeah, great, just classic album. When You Were Mine of course was later covered by Cyndi Lauper. So yeah. Okay, my next album is the classic number 6, Duke by Genesis. One of my favourite Genesis albums. I had to include this one. And yeah, you got some just brilliant songs here. Behind the Lines, Duchess, Man of Our Times, Misunderstanding, Heat Haze, Turn It On Again, Alone Tonight, Cul-de-sac, Please Don't Ask. Please Don't Ask, you can definitely hear Phil's emotions. Of course it was recorded around the time that he was going for the divorce with his first wife, and the pain of that, and of course you can hear what kind of becomes face value, definitely. And of course Behind the Lines appears on this album, and Phil's solo album, Face Out Value. So yeah, this album was recorded in Poland, so it was around just before they found the farm in Surrey. And I will, as I will mention this, yes, I am hoping to see them in Genesis. I'd like to go, you know. I'd like to go. Okay, the next one on my list at number 5 is getting into the electronic stuff now, and this is an electronic classic. This is Vienna by Ultravox. Yeah, just a absolutely classic album. Brilliant tracks on here. What do we have? Asteroid and Europeans, Private Lives, Passing Strangers, Sleepwalk, classic. Mr. X, Western Promise, Vienna, Oh Stood Still, great song. This was the first album to feature Midge as vocalist after the departure of John Fox, the original lead singer, who went to have success as a solo career, and of course Underpass, which was a huge hit for him. Yeah, and this was recorded at RAK Studios in London, produced by Ultravox and Connie Plank. Ah, yes, that's a name I know. Very famous in the krautrock scene, Connie Plank. I believe he was in Noi. But yes, and just classic album. As we all know, Vienna did not make it to #1, the single, due to Joe Dolce and Shut Up Your Face. It made it #2, and I reckon people, and it was due to, of course, singles. It was the amount of singles bought by Ultravox and Joe Dolce, and Joe Dolce just sadly won. Huge shame. Okay, number 4, we have the absolute classic Peter Gabriel, or Free or Melt. I call it Peter Gabriel Free, but it is basically called Peter Gabriel. Absolutely fantastic album here, produced by Steve Lillywhite. who produces another album which I'm going to mention in a bit. But this is just a phenomenal album. God, Intruder, the drums by Phil Collins on Intruder, No Self Control, fantastic. Brilliant backing vocals, of course, by Kate Bush on No Self Control. Robert Fripp, you know, there's a lot of brilliant guitar parts. I love the brilliant guitar parts in what's the track called again? I don't remember. Brilliant guitar parts on that. And Through the Wire, guitar, love that song. Paul Weller on guitar. Side 2, Games Back for Frontiers, Not One of Us, Lead a Normal Life, and Biko. But yeah, it's interesting because when this was we presented this to Atlantic Records, they said that they didn't want to put out the album. They thought he'd gone insane. Wow. And Gabriel jokingly summarised the album's themes as the history of a decaying mind. And it's interesting because this album receives a lot of critical acclaim and is one of the classic albums of the 80s and of 1980. Pill, Public Image, cited the album as an influence on the sound of Flowers of Romance, their 1980 record. Brilliant album. Yeah, that's all I can say. Okay, at number 3, another appearance by Robert Fripp. Kind of guess which one this is, yeah? We had to get to this one eventually. David Bowie, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, the fantastic album. It's No Game Part 1 and 2, Uphill Backwards, Scary Monsters, Ashes to Ashes, Fashion, Teenage Wildlife, Scream Like a Baby, Kingdom Come Because You're Young. It's a classic album, brilliant, you know. Robert Fripp, of course, you can hear on Scary Monsters and Fashion. Pete Townsend on Teenage Wildlife, I believe. Pete Townsend's on that track. This is just a fantastic record. Brilliant. Of course, this was the #1 album when it was released, and the single Ash to Ash was #1. So, good on Bowie. This is a classic album. Highly recommended, like all the other albums on this list I've been mentioning. And yeah, okay, at number 2 we have the one I received recently as a VCLT. This is Boy by U2. One of the great debut albums. You know, this is such a great album. I absolutely love it. I Will Follow, Twilight, and Cat's Door, Into the Heart, Out of Control, Stories for Boys, The Ocean, Day Without Me, No Time No Place, Electrico, Shadow and Tall Trees. Fantastic album. Originally Boy was slated to be produced by the brilliant Martin Hannett, who had produced their single 11 TikTok O'Clock, or 11 O'Clock TikTok, sorry. But the experience of working on that single wasn't a pleasant one, so they hired Steve Lillywhite to produce this album, and it's a great debut album. As I said when I first showed this album, very Joy Division-esque, Susan the Banshees-esque in places, and just a phenomenal album. Pick it up if you haven't heard it. Pick these albums up if you have not heard them. They are amazing, in my opinion. And number 1 is kind of an obvious one, but I love this album. This is one of my favourite albums of all time, and to me it is the album of 1980. Closer by Joy Division. You know, I love this album. This is a fantastic album. Oh, God. Brilliant. It was released 2 months after the death of lead vocalist Ian Curtis. Recorded at Botany Row Studios, which is famous for Pink Floyd recording there. It's interesting because while recording this album, drummer Stephen Morris remembers that at one point during Syd Barrett walked in. Wow, you know, the Floyd's Syd Barrett walked in. It's really, that's something, just walked in. The album reached number 6 on the UK Albums chart and was named the NME Album of the Year. It has also been cited as one of the best posthumous releases. It definitely is. Love this album. Well, thank you very much, VC. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, I know I dated the first song, dated the first album, but I didn't date the others. Sorry for that, but we all make mistakes, and yeah. But of course, all these albums were released in 1980, so that's good. A lot of these were released in October, surprisingly. So yeah, yeah, great. See you again, VC. Thank you all for watching, and bye bye for now.